expect everyone on my desk leave late. My son better be quick. My daughter better shoot first. Because we fold for no one. We fold for nothing. Okay, the first thing you'll feel is the heat. This lady would tell me, trying to tell me about possession. Drink like need is what I mostly hear. Most of the world leaves me alone. To breathe smog like a giant, to go to jail every once in a while. When the genocide kicks up in late May, when politicians have too easy a time, I'm gassing backwards out a one-way street in honor of myself. And in honor of you. If you understand the nature of the world. How long I've been just like my father? Well, hell of a resemblance says the anxiety of the neighborhood. This is a crossroads or a crossroads narrative. At so much crossroads, people get in the habit of turning back. Turn back only to find themselves remembering me, but not my last words. A man before a fight, just feel the heat. But there's nothing to keep in mind. There's nothing to remember. Really, there's nothing to be. It's just this moment, then another, then stare, then it all becomes stable. Then the table legs go fuzzy, and Friday's an unfamiliar face speaking in the window. It's cool to panic for a second. Composure is wasted on your worst enemy. People are marked on that sidewalk. You the only thing life-size. Everybody knows it's in the wire hanger empire. When the blood stops walking, that feeling isn't father enough to be permission to fold. You better swing one more time. You know that father yours rose from the grave and said, just give me 5 more minutes? He said running water is a myth. It's us who are running up, down, and all alongside this water. And people don't rise from the grave. They not laid down neither. It's us who flip all around their body. So beware when the people around you all look like they about to jump. It might be your turn. You'll feel the heat. And when 4 walls demand to be 4 walls and the earth outside means don't panic. Don't try to recreate the earth outside. Don't tell jokes to yourself. Don't even talk disrespectfully to the 4 walls. Instead, unclench your fist and walk away. There might be heaven if you understand the nature of the world. Yeah, first I should have apologized to the souls of the house because I'm wearing the cheekbones of the mask only. Like a pill bottle whose name is yours, name tagged on the side of a factory of wrists, teeth of the mask now. Back of the head of the mask now. A new phase of anti-anthropomorphism, offended for real face. I'm stuck with one of those cultures that believes I chose this family. I'm not creative, just the silliest of the revolutionaries. My blood drying on my only jacket. The police state psyche middleman evangelizing for the creation of an unmasked as an unmet. Your blood of a lamb less racialized or awesome prison sentence. Right angle made between a point on a Louisiana plantation. A 5-year-old's rubber ball 3 feet high and falling like a deportee plane to complete my interpretation of garden variety genocide. I'm small talk about loving your enemies a little more realistically about paper tigers and also, I need my left hand back. Broke my neck on a piano key, found paradise in a fist fight. Maybe I should check into the Cuban line. Watching the universe, last metronome, some call black jackets. They just wait. These religions will start resigning in a decade or two. Some colorfully, some transactionally in a cotton gothic society. Class betrayal on glasses. Ironically, my window started fogging over too. So I was trying to figure out which Haiti would get me through the winter. Which poem houses souls? Which socialist breakthroughs? Breakthroughs like taking 10 steps back and finally trying stillness. Like introducing Gabriel Prosser to Thelonious Monk. I remember childhood. I remember the word childhood being the beginning. Scribbling on an amazing grace, I rented this body from some circumference of slavery. Remember being kicked out the Midwest. Strange food theater, lithium in circuses, like-minded stomachs, the ruling class blessing their blank checks with levy phone, with opioid teas, $70 bills, yelling to each other, pocket to pocket. Cello stands in the precinct for a company, counter-revolutionary. My mother raised me with a simple pain. A poet loses his mind, like the room has weathered. A first girlfriend gravity. Difference between me and you, the madness wants me forever. A pair of apartments defining both my family and political composure. Looks behind my back, bail money craved into the streets plain. Euphoria, cliche. Bracing for the medicine's recourse. Sharing a dirty sounds, my friends. Black jackets, underground topography of a grandmother's hands. Psychology of the mass now.
Made of saliva. There's some people made of saliva too they usually have on uniform. While the crazy man spins round and round trying to make a record out of this mass production jungle, maybe I'll join him. Count cash and cry. These streets are made of saliva and white sheets are worn about building in which kids are supposed to learn how to read well. White sheets on the highway too. Another man needs their head on the pipe. One down is just one down. But you tell all this to the masses and your teacher will pipeline you. They told me I was jewelry. They told me this was jungle. Maybe not jungle, more like 50 machine guns planted in the ground. It's raining faces again in California. What does this say about heaven? And what does this say about the people you killed? Waiting lines got so exhausted, a million minds dropped all these faces at once. If the fascists can read the lips of a giant talking in his sleep, we might as well make our demands in prison letters. Today was born the most important trigger finger in the world. Today I've begun counting down the pages between now and a pile of books by a tunnel. Chicago is going to walk out of Chicago one day. Babies will drag street signs like old toys. Today, the most important letter left prison. Babies will laugh at flags like faces that have disappeared. Maybe I'll join them. But for now, these streets are made of saliva and we raise half-full glasses to the basements that meant nothing. And the working poor who live there, we get shot. We get white sheets on California where the kitchen table likes to talk as much as the walls. The romance on the porch consists of hard resigning. In this picture, characters talk spit and know that they hard to kill. The kitchen table knows this. The porch is almost convinced that, one down is just one down. This town is coming to town. A circus watching itself. Half distracted, half suicidal, thrilled children dressed as cops. Thrilled children preaching and policing and intaking and hiring and snatching your money. This town's coming to town with tough trademarks to follow. Today I watch capitalism walk on water. And people play dead so that they could be part of a miracle. Guided by teeth goes this country. There's a cow's mouth on the flag. A peculiar notepad holds street life dear, but the writer's not here. He's somewhere talking to tombstones about the good old days or splashing reborn water on his latest face. Or wondering how his old gun is doing in the afterlife. Wondering how much death trap is in those gas station hours. It gotta be $1 million a day on this concrete island. New engine in the moon, why it never goes down. 72 straight hours of night. At least according to everyone's posture around here. At 8:30 in the morning is really 30 minutes of closing. The city shuts down for a sleepy rat race. And the elevators shoe shuffle to the nearest heaven, laughing with rats the whole way up, man. There's scabs everywhere. In puddles of city and concentrated schools and TV-lit warm rooms. The light reveals military fatigue when it hits just right on the ties that are wrapped around the necks of lazy white guys. And fire is too easy. Baby, just can't at the walls or something if you feel like it. Let's wait for a target to move and shooting back, running for a tree line made of freeway. Wisdom says against the war machine on Tuesday, you stand no chance, but may we be the last poor people to play it safe. Cow's mouth on a flag. A politician raises his hand and the crowd shows their teeth. An oligarch raises his hand and little girls are not safe outside. You all high, depressed, and comrades and function. At 15 minutes of closing, the city has survived another black rebellion. We just paying dues by transfers, not just anybody considering. Don't you love how deadly things whisper in the moment that people kill like feathers fall, everybody screaming inside? The writer knows that death is not a matter of dignity, rather humor in a house that smells like road traces, nuclear percentages on torn stoves. Here life never was. It's just lazy matches and manic inhumanity, hands rushing away from life towards stoves. What we doing here? Surviving for no reason in particular, cause nobody's gone far today, nobody's gone far tomorrow. Trust me, hell and heaven cannot count. Strange gardens where secondhand clothes play, and concrete wishes to be human so that it can be accountable. Where they find you drenched, and drains wish to be human, so that they could be worthy arms feed to dying. They greet them all, grandson. Prepare for the day when every child is common. Don't say we ghosts didn't write you a poem. Don't say we didn't dig your life. Remember the shotgun by the coat rack that everybody in the house knows how to use. Remember the tightrope made of needles for walking in between driveways and man-made best friends. Go ahead, grandson, tune this shit again. Never mind, this country kills me just as first. Broken neck knives and then scarred neck life. If these walls could write lyrics, they say, what's your angle, angel eyes? 30, 50 rounds pass by on the street with no daughters. This street has no sons. It's young prisoners of war in a racist city that means to make capital, and we know so much. We know it all. We were stood against walls. Who's on the third cross around here? Cow's mouth, salivating over the street. And that
Never cared for teachers. Just the patterns of their fainting spells induced by Walmart. All that to say propaganda is courage, man. The price sticker hides my tattoo. I treasure my problem with the world. My mother becomes from Brooklyn first thing in the morning. That's a proverb around these parts. A proverb or peasant entrance password. Writing short notes to famous Europeans on the back of postcards with ransom requests. They reply with a newsreel or a cigarette announcement. I can't tell the difference. No dollars when you die inside, but on the inside. They call it sleeping deeper than your stalker. The stalker is all that badge makes you. Says a great spirit dressed in the bloody rags, tuxedos became. Meanwhile, my punch is feared by no one. Proud of yourself? I ask my fat hand. You know, porch lights is what they call our guns. I've seen this house in a dream. I believe the trumpet was the first possessed out into the front. Keep going, she cheers. The draft in the room becomes a toddler obsessed with an altar. The altar becomes a runaway train. I got thousands of paintings like these cascading down my skinny arms, dictionaries piled up to the window bars, a reminder to the population that your blanket can work with or against you. Human reef. We will be a big human reef of concepts that finally gain a metaphysical nature and they will swim around our beautiful poses. I mean, we stopped being flashbacks and stopped being three different people, and then I was alone. The pistol one city away. One of the drug triangles lines runs through my head. I tapped the bottle twice and considered the dead refresher. Don't you want to rest your brain? And don't you want to be accounted for a little bit? Get back and forth to a panic attack with no problems nor fears. That man gets a facial expression finally, and Friday finally goes his way. His life is finally talked about happily in his head. Man, that's about to that must be the last of the smoke, man. Running the other way with 3 blocks of alley tucked under my arms. You ever see a man get to the bottom of his soul in a car ride down a missing Cousin Street? Half step to the right. I mean, I took the whole car outside of history. Half step to the right. I mean, a whole pack of wolves step to my left. Road marker is what I call the light bulb we have for a sun. A whole civilization might slink to the sink. Or a chain gang shuffling next to a sucker. Also known as the long look in the mirror. Stack of money starts talking before cities away.
cash smuggled through my instant torso, I arrived smiling. Coral check cashing spots seal my eyes, hearing voices, but none of them sing to me. I'm lucky to be a metaphor for no one. A Greek philosopher takes the path of least resistance. The Brides Corporation aged dons. In boardrooms, they ask if county line skin can be turned directly into cornflakes. A Senate special chain gang mines our neighborhoods for evidence of continent unity. Makes a mess of the word kin. System makes a psychic adjustment. Makes a war report out of a family secret chord progression. Makes white people genius. Lynch mob freaks rehearse their show tunes in the courthouse walls that they take for mirrors. Rehearse for a president's pat on the head, a pat on the head that they take for audience laughter. A lot of surge in the soup, a lot of speed. Pretty ink-stained teeth write themselves a grin. Imperialist speechwriter grins boil over in my ink-riddled mind. A non-future dripping with real people. I mean real people, not poem people. A street with no servant somehow. A soul singer somehow in the West. Constellation eternity or the poor man's fish order is half of a spirit or husk of a messiah. Religious memorabilia made from the wood of a farm fence for sibling domestic colonies and a non-profit Tuesday meltdowns. We do straightforward time. Plot twist provided by white beggars in a black city. The fathers who Reagan flicked. Kicking garbage thinking about racial production. Notebooks dangling out of car windows. We go the way of now extinct hand gestures. Mediterranean sandals and underground moves in tandem. I mean, whoever I am today is still your friend. Crooked cops and crooked news junkies. Diallo is your mind on military science. Is from your monotheistic toy collection. If you turn down the television low enough, you can hear San Francisco begging for more war profiteering. If it wasn't for San Francisco, there wouldn't have been a transatlantic slave trade. We will not live forever, but someone out here wants us to. We are mice pouring through an hourglass. In Olympus, Babylon, or Babylon, Olympus, subway car smoke session making its way into an interrogation room. Maybe it's all just one room. It's definitely all just one smoker. Poor people writing letters near books about Malcolm X. Ice picking the art. New floorboards for Watts prophecy. Pen twitching over scrap paper. Pen tweaking while smoothly a bus driver delivers incarcerated children. The Lord's door opens. Or put another way, state violence rises down. Or still life is just getting warmed up. Or army life is looking for a new church and ignoring all other suggestions. Folktale writers have not made up their minds as to who is going to be their friend.
To me, those people I've known are like a series of rooms. Just like all the places where I've spent time. You walk in for the first time curious about this new room. Lamp, TV, whatever. And then after a while, the newness is gone completely. And then there's this kind of dread. Kind of creeping dread. You probably don't even know what I'm talking about. But anyway, I guess the point of all this is that after a while something tells you, some voice speaks to you, and that's it. Time to split. Go someplace else.
Maybe there's a story told, there's a past, a book, or no ending. This is the words to fill with, just no one to ever will read. Maybe there's a story told, there's a past, a book, or no ending. This is the words to fill with, just no one to ever will read. Scribbled meaning that marches to the ink fades. Always with us to be the sandcastle. Spend your days in shipping towers, digging trenches to pretend that it will last forever. Hide doesn't care about your masterpiece. It comes and swallows or leaves nothing. This is the bright, loud day dazzling down for they believe it turn over the burns, and before you ever get caught in the breath of your sky, forgets it ever happened. We're like ants, building hills on the edge of a highway. March, we work, fight, this careless step, one indifferent shoe. Everything is flattened, but you ask what about the joy with the phrase in your hand. The joy is the drug that wears off, to leave it the same old ache. Here's the truth, there's nothing to borrow time here. Play with no audience, and there's no time to listen for the lights out, for the curtain drops, and no one clears, no one claps, no one perhaps can leave for the planting of a seed, for the social anxiety, for the innocence of a maze, for the massacre of a circus of the we call life. This is the fire, dreamly like fire away, chest back and breeze to hurt, to beat, to beast, to find the friends and fire, for this to die for help, but this is betraying. Murder for the faction, for the deceiver, the calling it for the false. Wrapped in silver thorns, and this the prophecy for you, for without the best of the compromise, the song of the migrant birds of the whispers. The infinite tenderness of the habit to find each time, for the echo of your footsteps, fortress, just find for rest, or already do for the desire, but also for the yield, is just longing for the bringing it for the winter yesterday, for the salted the wind, for the wild sea, for the leaving of the centuries of the past, gather for the temper, for the laughter, for the hands to seal, tenderness for the wipe of the away, for the over the solitude, for the dawn of a down, for this to be the what love for remembers and the piercing cry that rises from the parched lips, this move away from shores, constant wild seas, swelling of the waves of the crashing around the feet, trimming and cover for the warmth of the transparent prose of your laughter, for the giant garment needs to clothe my unchained heart, this unwounded orphan, surrounded me by the taking into the dizziness of the vastness of the waters of where you stare, star, step into the hair for the woven the shadows of purity, over the breathing over what you respond to be the neck and heart with you gives despair, transparency, everything I wanted to be. Remind me of myself what it was, what, living in the state of life, with the live of the mind abundance, and through the silence of the whimpering of the frail. They saw the life of the back spars interfere with the second curtain. This is where the grunting is sins polishing, passing for the third time, way to cool down the manhunt, strictly dedicating over the suffocation for your cat. To this is a paranoid coronation of the Lord in heaven. How many words to keep it the penetration for the harvest, and then maybe the tool to do the memorable job for you to go anywhere for the tracks just left beyond the parenthesis of the parenthesis, for the around this to be the spider for the glory of the winter where the interweb whimpering. Silence, whimpering, the frail, they saw the life of the back's bar interfere with the second curtain, jaded. Extraordinary life with the running of the sands polishing, ladies passing for the third time, wave to cool down the manhunt, strictly for the delicate, for the suffocation, to the final filth.
Through the silence.
Through the silence, whimpering, the frail, they saw the life of the back's bar interfere with the second curtain, jaded. Extraordinary life with the running of the sands polishing, ladies passing for the third time, wave to cool down the manhunt, strictly for the delicate, for the suffocation, to the final filth. Lord in heaven for the many words to keep penetrating the harvest for the baby that do the middle world job for you. That's good anywhere for the leading in the tracks beyond the parenthesis for the this and nothing. Chosen spider for the glory for the who knows that what. To be the room for the member in front of you for the many different windows and look out of them. You have to build talk because I'm just not if you to speak up for yourself. But this is not victory since so we're predictions to find with the midnight moon. Make up a word for you to have to finally come to peace. Forgotten where their graves are found. Cards at the table for the ashes slip. Through the fingers and then forgot who they were. For the mental for the paranoia to speak to capers and disaffect the climb the glaciers. And this is all the gift of my curse. Grew strong wings that the heart started to transform. See the beauty in the flaws at the center of the core. To find a new sound in my voice and not to find who I was before. For the gift in your curse and to see the light in the shadows of the star of the cool. Even though I change the shackle. See the art in the war. For the each still the tough battle for the blossoming through the storm. With the torn, the band damaged panels. And just to see the gift of the curse. This for the both of the strength and the weakness of the broken river for the beautiful. Shattered the pieces for your conquer the lands inside of my mind and God. This would be the only witness in the deep within the depth. Destruction over the discovery for their own greatness and see the gift and the cursing. Even though it's not a perfect present over the heart sings proudly. Deep with every beat of passion. Deep dark bottom discovered for the go within their life lessons and used to see rain. But now I see the stars and count the blessings. And then maybe I could go farther with the incarnation of the words that escape my lips far brighter for the image that beneath your figure aloud to be out. Enlightening for the soul to be agonizing. Or agonizing for the heart self-reflection for the past flaws and counting each one for the calling of itself. Unseen path, feet planted here, hard as a stone. Ever stand for the reason to find behind for this is single thought and constant in my mind. For this is the soul that you didn't know to find torn, this is king. Thought in the spirit and for the rain in the window for the walls of the rain beyond years. This found the unsung melody for the treasure for the left behind the olden times. It's this nervousness. Not wondering what they did wrong, fragile and never they're searching for. Blind but in the room and full of red. Which can have you just dread. Just but if I did for the tell you the consistency for the reaching of the pieces in you. For the you can have the writing of the 100 poems or the 1,000 words for the even getting to find a love for you. And I give thanks for the fate. Pen talk, this is what you love to pray. Or beg for the wood and know what you found, it don't matter what. For the mishappening over what your voice is dripping. Your poison for the yet is there in the body for this stretching the body. Currents are dynamic in our ocean of potential. Currents are dynamic. To plot a course ahead, our palette must be varied. Of all paints we have, each one has a whale sail around the vortex and refuse to see. Currents are dynamic. To plot a course ahead, our palette must be varied. Of all paints we have, each one has a whale sail around the vortex and refuse to sink into hate. But we're all different. We're all still the same in our ocean of strife. Love every color in the sea. Only the temporary for steeping down the throat, sifting into the burning of quenched memories, flooding away from the trauma that's suddenly forgotten. fix may be temporary, but seed began to good from flooding out. Feel it? Filling up my lungs with the life of the lust of the mist, this thought, though. We were getting blown away for the worst, suddenly forgotten for the hate and expression that enraged this fix may be temporary.
Gravity told the world don't burn me down, but it threw me at the fire for the which it could have. Dressed in all black attire for this wondering of the friend and finally enemies in the lover to become a friend. For this a single detail for the weather to run out the train of thought starts to detail. Mischievous. Watching the flame always here steady. The flame awaits this while you drift beyond the reach and hold the quiet. Hope that we share this more. This is the way the time is. So that even the silence and the spoken vows breathe between us and they're already yours so that totally may not be claimed. This is not a loss, but a beginning for the lesson, the tenderness of the promise that the loved one and for the rise that lives to be welcome. Tell as old as time, but the shape is just right for the ready to promise forever, for the just to be scared to take flight, just suffocating the grasp of the heart, too tight to give no space more towards that space eventually got exact, gave, recently, yeah, surely, something, maybe, true, always meant to be. Wings and this even breaks, just let out erase yourself for the hearing of the flutter with the angel's wings and then we're waiting for the killing in your grave, but this remain, the words speak to this time. Before the time, space is uncontainable for the measure of we infinite, finite, offering whatever the confidence that can be found within your life and this be filled with it, erase it down, drown, forever for the forgotten and cold. Nothing. Past and present and future gonna be nothing else. Purpose to be something you. Have the forever glow for the shadow was the grave of the memory you lost and you can't say escape in the madness of the sitting there for the good of the climb here. Tipping for the fragile heart with the strong purpose, dead lines you find tossed around something traveling down for the hope sick enough the place to see you. Small secrets are yours. Panicking over yourself, raving over your pain, broaching over your ache, misstep for the unbalance and the complaints over your sense of the abstract, for the spilling of the stone, for the sorrow of the rhythm, but this is me the good and ruin about it, what you before you, this love is worth it to reach your hand. The unquenchable hunger for the remind me of the human. I used to find that this is not to be played with, for this is not a sea creature either, for the river, the not you can furry the buttered over the looking right. Tried to granite over the wall with you to find the eyes and still the hurricane is coming.
Gravity told the world don't burn me down, but it threw me at the fire for the which it could have. Dressed in all black attire for this wondering of the friend and finally enemies in the lover to become a friend, for this a single detail for the weather to run out the train of thought starts to detail. Paul Smith sent us in the hums low beneath the leaves of this half remember tune for the yet light returns and footed through the curtains whenever there's something like death settling in the morning for the birds still sing. Remember how you used to listen for the roots ache, this reach away for the sorrow that makes space to dust to something tender for the carry the boat. Ache of the absence with the warmth. Through the final lighter now for the aching of the reach of the barber life of the peaceful range. What finally is mine, but this is to be time, fragments and no claws for the water skin, for the wings soaked, the cathedral folded in half, for the single splash, writes this obituary for the circles of the forsaken, for the loss of the stars and left in the dark, for the slowly falling apart now, for the ground in the toss. Dreams of light, feeling right for the losing in my eyesight, for the feeling of the shadows of the shadow of the rose, the shadow of the blood flow for the end of the show, for the broken night sky, this would have to die for the sake of mine. Or since I have to let you go now, for the one that make things right, not used to fight for this to grow enough for to be able to, for the fertilizer that will work to help to grow to hindsight, for the hatred never the filling with the what's wasted, for the polo Marco, hold the people's town for the shore, attuned with the spirit for the breathing breath, or a human climbs up the tree and what is on the other side of that with the board, and this is next to kind of math, for this to be the blood rose innocence drowned, for the chalice of the sorrow, for the giving the ears and tears to find the drinking well, for the aiding them over the name, for the heart of divided the poetry, for the breaks that this cannot have, the lever to take, for the immortality, for the abuse. Still yours, not be confused with the courage to breathe, for the morning winds of the flower that remember to only be for the aqua, French pieces that commanded the time, for the ducat, unleash your mind, for the hooper you truly give, for the distant get this care, for the simply, for the self-love, for the reflection you still try to find yourself, for the angel, for the devil, for the grimace, for your hand to heal, to kiss the man, for this out of the way to break the end, the butterfly for the six. For the chip to pick me up, but the fly for the disappear back. Ask the feelings of the trap house. For Phoenix to rise stronger than ever, the heartbreak for this to be oh so satisfying, for never the meant to be begging for the love, for the answer, for the mercy. And the hollow room for the ever the heartbeat sounding over the intruding over what the most insight is. Wait, hands this felt both sometimes they have vultures for the direction for the yet to be another, for this it didn't change much. Hour by hour for the filter, enough the towards the faith to fist to find a full of hair for the understands. That line said you thought to ever dare for the truth, the storm beside my bones, skies with the lighting in half, the trees been broken into mine, for the precious the moon, for the shimmering blade over the precious moonlight, for the watching over the every night. Reality memorized the pain, for this and not the dark chrome, so for the death of this advertisement, for the Cheerios, and the question that for the hearing, for the retaining of the forgetting the mentions, for the desert, for the pimp, for every day's a weekend, for the resigning of the reins inside of my head, for the knuckle of the bruising, for another weight to blue, for the absence of naive thoughts, to roam whatever the clock shifts, to find the take. Melancholy for the only color, the cedar for the be time, the need to twin light, for the breath of the over the open up the mind, right unveiling the sun. Company we keep, time is a thief. Windows and down the empty streets, for this is still the hours of softer slide, for the whispers of the golf and goodbye, for the sea, the sign of fine and fragility, for the reminding of the kindness of spoken's heart. Softly be skilling and fall out for the manipulation, for the blown out of menace and forgiveness has its limits, for this to be the rain, for the red flower, for the falling for the sky, for the petals of gone to wash by, for this thinking about you, crash, over the crossing of the moon, was the suffering and the silence and the happiness of freeing to find the perfect for the wild, for this alteration, for the actions need to be considered, for this breaking, for the before the slip, for this the lights are out, the glass of violent clip, the last sip, for the embracing of the end, for the last of love, for the depression, for the ever the habit, been the rage. A farewell trip tip for your weary body fell through the fluid in the hands of remained to further ever near, for this to be the greater threat, for the wallowing of the dreams of terrifying. Detriment over the fine heart of the keys, for this to give to the hands of beloved for the friend. Never less of this man, guilty for the silence of myself silently. The promise of love, you came to last laugh, this to play the broken, wide open, allowing it to be broken, woven together for the until you can the presence or ever for the devotion. Reverend grace, alter whether your essence glows. A probe and proverbs playing the plot to this to find the good and death of the horseman, for the dark surroundings of the velvet black. Flagging of the grieving with the feather, the room, the story for the game, the angry well, for this to find and oddly enough to tell, for this to be the raise and listen for the shrinking, never the more for the eyes to cast down.
It's vibrating bug down sound.
Alright, here we go. Bubbles Depot, for my people. Bubbles take care of yourself. Yo, Bubbles.